This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog, coming to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observations, number 39. Wow, we are now in the new year of 2021. And as I've said before, public libraries closed down without letting anybody know. I went to another one because they gave people a warning. Then was using websites, streaming and not so legal websites. Then it turned into the library. Then you pick up items from the bookmobile. Now the library is open and you can't pick up items from the library, but most people are just gonna, just do the bookmobile like myself. So in the new year, well, technically this week of the new year, I watched this Russian movie called Loveless. It was about like two parents who are basically on their way out of their marriages. They got new partners. Everything is set up, but and they're not home because they're with their partners or they're working, and their kid doesn't show up from school and he goes missing. The whole movie is them trying to look for the kid and going through every single lead of, is this your kid? Nope, that's not him. Every angle. And of course, once you get the plot and you understand what's going on, it doesn't matter if it's in English or the fact this movie was in Russian. It wasn't that exciting nor that interesting, and it had to be 2 hours plus. There's no reason for it to be 2 hours plus when we get the plot like within seconds. There's no point. And then I watched a kids movie called Red Shoes and the Seven Dwarfs, and Chloe Grace Moretz, from the Kick-Ass movie franchise and a bunch of other stuff. She, Neighbors 2, she voices the Snow White character. Her father's King White, and her name is Snow White, and tragically her mother passed away, so he gets remarried to a witch, like in Snow White, the witch, tempts Snow White, etc., etc. And also, like Cinderella, got these red shoes, and that's what makes the witch, young instead of old. And she put a curse on the dwarves, so it's not like all these dwarves that she lives with Snow White. It's that these are Arthur and they're his knights from the Round Table, and they're turned to green dwarves. And you got Merlin, who's more of a main character than Arthur. You got the guy with a invisible cloak and jewelry. They got a chef. They got three gadget people. And the point of the movie is it's a kid's lesson, so you shouldn't be worried so much about your appearance. It's who you are inside. So as much as they want to not be green dwarfs and they want to be back to being regular size white, white back then in that time period, their color, their skin, and not, a dwarf. It was interesting, and she wasn't so beautiful as a princess because the only way to break the curse for these dwarves was to be kissed by a beautiful princess. She, on the other hand, not a beautiful princess, as I'm going to tell you in the movie. She's a big, chunky girl who's not that pretty compared to other girls. In the movie, she looks like it because of the shoes. But yeah, the whole movie's about accepting yourself. And one of the bad guys was voiced by Jim Rash, the principal from Community. And I'm just yeah, it was okay. Not the best kids movie, but again, not the very long of a movie. Yeah, it was okay. Then I watched a short movie on Tuesday because I needed to do something in between. It was called Yes, God, Yes. And these girls that go to a Catholic school and they go on a not a retort. They go on a convention over the weekend to a camping resort area, and it's about a coming of age story, and it's an hour and 17 minutes. I'm yeah, I'll watch this, but it's telling the kids not to have sex, not to masturbate, all these other things, and it's just okay, I get it, but this movie was, it was so at least you didn't waste so much time. Then I watched The Fisherman's Friend, where this British music company guy tells one of his employees, you gotta go sign these people or you can't come back. He takes that as something seriously, even though the guy eventually said it was a prank. And while he's there, he falls for a girl. And of course, a cliche thing, the guy from the big city falls for a girl in the small town, and the only way that he'll get her to fall for him is he's got to have good, small town morals and be really about everything in the small town. And he's trying to sign these fishermen who are of all ages and they all can sing, and he's trying to do everything possible to get them to be famous and help them out. And it was okay. It was almost 2 hours, so it wasn't that long, and I wouldn't call it a comedy, to call it a drama, maybe a dramedy. It was okay. It's below average. It's that. Some of these movies you can watch and they're not so great. Then I watch movies straight up and you're cool. The girl from Man Seeking Woman, she's in this movie and she plays this girl. It's about this gay guy who's had a horrible relationship with men, and his social worker goes, you should not so worried about finding your guy. Maybe you can open up a little bit and maybe see if you're into women too. And he takes that upon himself as a goal to meet women, and of course he's a gay guy. He does not like the women anatomy, all this other stuff, yada yada yada. And he meets this girl and they click and they instantly start chilling and they're friends, and then it turns into dating in a bit, into in a long-term relationship. And it's just all the pitfalls of, are you really gay or are you really not? And she has to decide, does she want to stay with him through all this time? because everybody says all the stories about what he did in the past, who he is, his friends, yada yada. And it was odd. It was kind of weird. It was kind of silly. But again, not that long of a movie, so you won't waste that much time. It's watchable. Then I watched VHS, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, it felt like a TV movie. Like, I thought the point of the plot was his kid by accident films over his parents' tape, and he's got to fix it. But throughout the thing, all it is showing is like infomercials and people trying to sell you things and like just regular ads and then talk show and weird TV shows and TV movies and porno, on like the channels back then, that sort of thing. And it's just so much going on, clicks all over the place. You're just like, yeah, I don't know what they were doing here. That was kind of silly. But again, an hour and like 17 and 12 minutes, not that long. Then the movie Infamous was probably better than most movies I watched because it was Bella Thorne playing a troubled youth like she always does. And she battled shit with her mother. Her father left when she was young. She's in a small town in Florida. She wants gets away. She meets a guy who's an ex-con. And his father is attacking him and she jumps in. His father dies and he's on parole. So she's like, oh, crap. So the two of them go on the run. It's like Bonnie and Clyde, like stealing just to make it and speak because they didn't have any money. And she wants to live stream everything because her goal is to be famous. His goal is just not to go back to prison. And it's all about their love story and them just, going on the run and then everybody, following their story. And again, not that long, not 7-minute movie. It's watchable, it's okay, but like you all know it's gonna either they get away with it or they don't. So just like, yeah. Then I watch Baby Teeth, and I'm just like, for a movie that's almost like 2 hours, it was pretty boring. Girl having cancer, she's a teenager. I don't know, they didn't just distinguish. She's 15, 16, or 17, and she meets some like degenerate guy, who helps her when her nose was bleeding, and she falls for him even though he's like a degenerate and he's like in his 20s. And he's a bum. He's got nowhere to go. The father's a social worker, so both he knows everything. The mother's like a drug addict too, and it's just like. Then they kind of weave in that the guy's family, and then the neighbor, and all these other. That was just weird, and it was not one of those really down in the dumps movie about a person with cancer. They were like she wants to live her life and do whatever she wants and have fun. That's good and dandy. But just like it does not need to be almost 2 hours long. Then I ran out of stuff to watch on TV, so I watched Blood Quantum, a movie about, something happening to people, turning them to zombies and biting other people. That typical post-apocalyptic zombie movie. But here's the trick. It takes place on an Indian reservation near, a border of, a non-Native reservation. And, of course, the Native Americans are immune, and they're the ones that are surviving, but there's too many white people coming after them. And it's like, okay, interesting take to make it about Native Americans, but we all know it's either everybody dies except for some people, and it's like, okay, get the whole movie. So yeah, overall, not that long of a movie, and it was more drama than it is horror. But yeah, Blood Quantum, not so great. Baby Teeth, not so great. Infamous was okay to watch, but it wasn't overall a great movie. You can watch it. Don't waste your time with VHS. Straight Up was odd, but watchable. Fisherman's Friend was a cliche type of thing, but you can still watch it. Yes, God, Yes was odd, but you can watch it. And Red Shoes and Seven Drawer was an interesting a kids movie, but it was not that great of a kids movie. And just don't watch Loveless and don't watch Baby Teeth, okay? Thanks for listening to this edition of Movie Review number 39. Wow. I'm ready for On the Radar Entertainment Blog. See you guys next time.